Hello guys and dolls, welcome to my channel. I love the videos of former Disney World cast members sharing their experiences, so I wanted to add my own. I worked at Disney as an art model. I was performing at the Civic Theaters of Central Florida at the time, and I'm checking the notice board for auditions, and there on official Disney letterhead was a call for art models for the animators. The animation studio was at Hollywood Studios back when it was MGM. They used to show off the building during the backstage tour ride. That's been nearly 2 decades, so forgive me if I'm remembering the building wrong. I believe it was at least 3 stories high. When you walked in, there was a reception desk with the name of the current work in production on the wall behind it. I remember there being some sort of display about part of Mulan being created there. I can't remember what was on the right side when you walked in, but on the left there was a theater for viewing completed works. I started working there while Lilo and Stitch was in production. It was just called Stitch at that time, and stopped when they were working on Brother Bear. Past the reception desk, there was a glass wall display of whatever was currently in production with concept art and various items. I also remember enormous posters of classic Disney cartoons, but only Goofy stands out to me because I love him. From what I understand, the purpose of these modeling sessions was for the animators to be just what they were, fine artists, to strengthen their skills and marinate in their creativity. Sessions were often only 3 hours with the occasional 6-hour class. We'd start with 5 minutes of 1-minute poses, then move on to 5-minute poses, finally 1 long pose. Most often I modeled nude, but I was welcome to bring props and costumes. I once brought my Lee Middleton newborn doll and also dressed as Cinderella. The rooms were cold. That is something I cannot physically forget. I was always able to get hot tea or coffee when I needed it, and also a space heater to pose near. No matter what time of the year it was, the building always seemed to be either a little chilly or very cold. The artists told me they raised complaints because they were occasionally getting sick and were keeping coats at their desks year-round. 2 rooms stick out in my memory. One very large with a raised platform where I modeled during a 6-hour session. They told me a lion had been on the platform the day before I was there. Thankfully, I was clothed for that session because it was especially cold in there. I never modeled with any animals. I did work with a male model once, not in the nude though. We worked so well together that our minute poses became a dance. The other room I called the Tower of Terror room. When you looked out the windows, you could see the top of the ride, and when the elevator doors opened, you could clearly hear the ride ambiance and the people screaming. And these windows were closed. I've been on that ride several times and I know it's loud, but I didn't know just how loud until I was modeling in that room. The artist told me there were other parts of the building that picked up sound from the ride. It was both jarring and funny to me my first few times modeling in that room. I asked the artists how they were able to focus with that going on all day. They told me that when the ride first opened, it was distracting, but they had become used to it, and eventually so did I. I developed a lovely relationship with the artists and became a much requested model. I figure it's because I was good at being still for long periods of time. I just zoned right out. They would ask me for a break. And these artists were amazing, as you can see from some of the examples I managed to get them to copy for me to have forever. Once, as we were preparing for a long set, they were surrounding me with their paints, trying to get my exact skin color. I apparently have lots of red undertones in my complexion. The artists were very polite and understanding and always wanted to make sure I was comfortable, warm, and didn't get too fatigued. They were kind, funny, and fun-loving, the kind of people you just wanted to hang out with. The atmosphere was always very professional but relaxed. One session, as we all worked, The artist started having a conversation about how different certain famous movies would be if other entertainers performed in the main roles. And one of the guys said, "I've got a good one. Michael Jackson as Conan the Barbarian." Then he goes on to recite Conan's lines in Michael Jackson's soft tenor, and they had to stop him as I was laughing so hard I was shaking. I still can't get that out of my head and haven't been able to look at Conan the Barbarian the same ever again, so you're welcome. I remember being booked for a session and the Tower of Terror room was empty when I got there, so I waited. This wasn't unusual. Sometimes it would take a while for them to gather themselves, sometimes they were too busy for a session. Just as I was about to leave, an artist walked in and was surprised to see me there. He didn't know a model had been booked. He asked me to wait while he rounded up some other artists. Turns out they were all in their break room watching The Temptations, which had premiered earlier that week, so we had a fun session talking about the movie. I had no celebrity encounters while there. The closest I came, I always missed. I missed baby DeVay Chase, the voice of Lilo, riding her tricycle around the studio. And this hurts the most. I missed Sounds of Blackness, singing John Henry live during the screening. I would have loved to witness that, considering how much I love Disney's version of John Henry. And I could have sat in on it too, had I thought to ask. The artist would have made sure I got in. That's one of the two regrets I had from the experience. The other is that I never really shared my own artwork with the artists. I was told about an artist that started modeling to get in on working there as an animator. I only show one of their visiting instructors my drawings. Otherwise, I never really shared my work. I considered myself more of an actor than a visual artist. I do wonder now if I could have modeled my way into voiceover work. But I absolutely do not regret modeling, nude and otherwise. I know it has negative views attached to it, and my own loved ones thought it would adversely affect my career as an actor. I certainly understand and respect that concern. People often equate artist modeling with pornography and will shame people, especially women, for doing it. The only time that actually bothers me is the same people will praise the photographer, painter, or sculptor for the results. It just doesn't make sense to me to revere the artist, yet shame the men and women who help to create the works of art we do so much to protect and preserve. Thank you so much for watching my Disney employee story, and to the artists whose work I featured, if you see this, or if anyone knows the artist personally, please leave a comment. I would love to know what became of everyone. I will always cherish the time I shared with all of you.